Hi guys, this is another video from Shadow to Light Experience. Please check out my website www.shadowtolightexperience.com, and I want to do a video today, and the topic I want to talk about is something I've spoke about before, but just coming back from London, from a wedding. Thank you Kelly and Simon, good friends of mine, and meeting old friends, and being in London. Sorry, I've got a scratch on the eye. Being in London, it brought so many memories flooding back to me, and the subject today is alcohol. Now, this video is going to go on my YouTube channel, so this video is designed for people who feel like they're going down the path of dependency, that they're self-medicating because of some ACEs, adverse childhood experiences they may have suffered from, or just they've grown up in dysfunction. Maybe they're having troubles in their life at the moment with the cost of living and they don't see any way out of it. London brought all of these memories flooding back to me because I went past a lot of my old stomping hunting grounds, and I spent a wonderful weekend with my brothers. So me and my older brother, we spent a great 36 hours together, thanks very much. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, that he was an alcoholic like myself 5-6 years ago. I am now also alcohol free in my life. And we were talking about the huge impact it had both personally and maybe in our interpersonal relationships. And we said we didn't regret the doing it, we regretted the time. Now, that sounds a bit strange when we say things like that, but if you think about it, alcohol is only there in our lives because we choose to take it. If you think of that, a bottle of beer, bottle of spirits, a bottle of wine can be in a shelf in the shop, can be in a pump in a pub, and it's harmless. It's only when you bring the idea that it's solution based to your problems that's when it becomes the problem. Think of a gun that's not loaded and think of a gun that is loaded. If you put them together, pull the trigger on one's not dangerous, pull the trigger on the other, then it does damage. So meaning that a lot of us, myself included, and I can't speak for my older brother, but we choose to take alcohol into our lives because we're looking for something that may have been missing. Now, if you've grown up in some certain dysfunctions, or you've had an environmental influence in your decision making, then i.e. you start drinking early because your friends were drinking, then you can understand the pathways we go down, and that's what leads us into trouble. But why is alcohol the answer? I read a great book by someone called Gabor Mate, and he was explaining about, I think it was in the realms of Hungry Ghost, that many people didn't ask the question of not why the addiction, but what pain are you covering up? And one person mentioned to them, but they were on like drugs and drink, saying the first time they ever took their choice of poison, it was the first time they ever felt a warm cuddle. It's the first time they ever felt loved. Now, if you can get that on a shelf, if you can get that nearly on every corner of the street, if you can get that at any time of night, but here's the most important key: if you can do that and it's widely accepted and celebrated, then you can understand why people would not just lean into that as a solution, they would grab it with both hands. Now, my journey was, I thought I needed confidence because of some of the things that I went through as a child, and then it leaded me into not being able to manage when I was drinking, meaning it literally was taking control of me. So I'd be drinking wine, my people were drinking coffee, I'd be thinking about having a drink at 11 when we're going to a barbecue and not at 1 when people were at the barbecue. And it got so bad where, as I mentioned to my older brother last weekend, this is about 7 years ago, where there'd be some mornings I'd wake up with a glass of wine next to me. Now, becoming a coach and seeking out some diplomas in counselling and therapy, I kind of, in a perverse way, I'm glad that I went through that experience, because I don't want to pretend I'm sitting on a perch and trying to tell people what to do, what not to do, you should do this, you should do that. But the biggest mistake that we all make as coaches is when you say to someone who's got a problem with an addiction. Now, addiction actually means losing your free will. It means addictus, a slave, enslaved. So you're now not operating from a free will. You're actually saying to the person, if you're inexperienced with dealing with them, if they do have a problem with alcohol, is, oh, you should stop drinking alcohol because it's bad for you. You should stop drinking alcohol. And you're saying to them, I want to take away that cuddle. I want to take away your soothing blanket. I want to take away the very thing that gets you through the day. And there's no alternatives offered up. A lot of the time, people are coming at people who are not well and coming at it from a place of, you should know better. You should be doing this because of that. And you can't take away something without something else replacing it. So people will get into alcohol because their self-identity has been took away. So something else needs to step in place. If you take the alcohol away from them and don't offer them an alternative way of being or living, or giving them some real deep education in what could be psychologically going on underneath the surface, then you look like you're just looking like the PE teacher or the teacher who wants to spoil everyone's fun. And that's the biggest reason why so many people are not prepared to listen to people just go, you should quit. Now, what enabled me to quit was something very traumatic happened in my life, a reverse traumatic event, and that was the death of my parents. And it made me turn the page on what am I doing in my life. And sometimes it could just take that. But in most cases with people, they wake up in tragedy, they wake up in a loss of a job, they wake up in the loss of a marriage, they wake up in the loss of their home. And it's difficult to break free from it when you feel like everything around you is crumbling. So if you are a partner and you think that your better half is drinking too much, or if you feel like they've become dependent, the first thing that we must accept is you are second choice. You are second choice to their decision. You are second choice to their first love. You are second choice to their passion. You are not their solution. You have become someone who can't fix their problem. That needs to be something that you take on board. And then you can work inside that. You can go, okay. And then you can start trying to get under the surface of why it is that they're choosing to drink. You can get underneath it why they're choosing to, after you've said so many times to them, if you don't stop, you're going to lose us. Now, we know that doesn't work because there's so many people who go to A&A, and there's so many people who talk to coaches like myself who say, I lost my wife, I lost my job. And it never worked when people were saying to them, if you don't stop drinking, you're not going to have a job to go to. So that tells you that their need for their decision that they're making has become not of any free will. It's addiction. It's something that is covering up a deeper issue. Now, the way I would handle it is in moments when you can meet your partner when you know their sober moments, sobriety, you can just try and ask them, can you tell me what's going on? Is there something that we haven't discussed? Is there something that I am not paying attention to? Is there something we haven't spoken about your childhood? And you come from it with a place of love and compassion and understanding. Now, that's not guaranteed to work, because I'm sure many people have tried that. But you can't come at it with big boots saying, I want you to stop. As I mentioned, we need to scratch away at the surface. If you're unable to get to a place of you find no way out, you can't find a way out of this, then I would suggest that you ask them to go and seek professional help. But again, not with big boots, not with, if you don't, I will leave you. If you don't, you will not see the kids. If you don't, because this just adds to their pain. This adds to their misery. This adds them to go stomping off down the pub on a bender. And the most cruelest thing about this addiction and this substance is the very thing that gets someone into their addiction is the only thing that makes them feel good about their addiction. So let me say that again. The very thing that is ruining their life is the only thing that makes sense in their life. Meaning, think of the hair of the dog, think of when someone has acted appallingly and the whole world's against them the next day. They will feel a lot of self-loathing. What do you think turns that self-loathing voice off? The very thing that brought it into their attention. Try and reason with them and say, can we reduce it bit by bit? Can we have days where we don't? Why don't you spend time with me today and we'll try and have a different type of day? Why don't we try and restrict the amount of units? Because again, if you are almost becoming the tyrant in this person who's quite clearly not well's life, they'll start drinking secretly, they'll start hiding bottles, they'll start making excuses to go out and drink. And once they're out drinking, I promise you they will stay out drinking. They will not want to go home and face the wrath of a fight. If all else fails in that, then you have to then manage your expectations. If you've tried to talk to this partner about seeking help, do they need you to be more understanding? Do they need you to talk about work pressures? Do they need you to talk about health conditions? Do they need you to talk all of this type of stuff? If they refuse that, if they refuse professional help, if they refuse to talk to you, then, and I say this with a heavy heart, you then have to manage your expectations. You then have to understand that you can't be their first love in that moment in time. Now, I know through experience that many people have stuck around for 20 years and they'll use this, I stuck around because I love them. But what comes out of them when their partner does eventually quit, and most people who have alcohol issues do want to quit. And in the beginning, when their face is still fresh and their body's still fresh, they feel they can get away with it. But one day they wake up and their looks are getting deteriorated because of it. Maybe their teeth are starting to be affected, especially if they smoke. And the person that says, I stuck by them for 20 years and because I love them, very rarely do you feel like that they love that person anymore. In fact, what could be said is you almost sense there's a sense of not resentment, but regret of wasting their time. So as a codependent, which is an old term I'm not very keen on, but as someone who's relied on someone, as someone who's been by someone's side who relies on alcohol, it's very important that you give yourself a time limit. Now, that's not being cruel. That's not being non-sympathetic, unsympathetic. It's just you going, I've tried to be by your side. I've tried understanding. I've tried recommending. Now I need to accept. I need to accept that you are choosing your substance because you have a deeper pain that we can possibly get to together. And I now need to give myself a time limit of when I am just going to hold my hands up and say, I've tried. It's not what people want to hear. It's not what people want to hear, because who wants to say at a dinner party, oh, I heard that you and your wife or you and your husband split up, and you talking to friends saying, I had to leave. I couldn't support them anymore. Because generally you'll hear, I left because he was a drunken arsehole or she was a drunken arsehole. I left because of this. And it's always very angry. But sometimes there's couples out there where the person isn't a wild drunk. He isn't an abusive drunk. She's not like a cheat. She's not, playing around. They just have an illness. They just have this overwhelming pain that needs self-medicating. And unfortunately, if you can't get to them and pull them out, and professionals can't get to them and pull them out, then what do they say, the lifeguards? That they'll jump in and save someone, but if that person in the sea is becoming a danger to the lifeguard and themselves, the first thing the lifeguard will do is take action so he can remain in a safe space, a safe place, if that's the right way to say it. So this video that I'm going to post on YouTube it's more centered around the pitfalls, and just I'm going to go into why people would, some of the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, why people would choose alcohol, what alcohol does to the brain, how it makes you feel, what it can do to the body, how it can distort your reality, your perception on the world. That's what we do at Shed a Little Light. Myself as a coach, I talk to people and they've got a lot going on in their lives, and then when we get to the nitty gritty of it, there's an underlying problem, and it's something that they feel is missing in their life. So, as I said, just the last line, as Gabor Mate said, that you can't take away someone's cuddle, and I mean that. Their solution is where they found that cuddle, that drink. No one likes the taste of drink. No one likes surely no one likes whatever choice there's, amphetamine, speed. No one likes losing all their wages, but there's something they get from it that's all powering. It's so, and that's where it comes from. Again, we'll use the word addicted to be enslaved, to be carry on doing something against your free will. And think how much misery that's bringing to the person. And alcohol is something that creates a problem in society, because if you're someone who drinks alcohol because you have a lot of anger, let's say, it gets projected out. It's the perverted key that opens the lock to all the bad toxic memories or suppressed feelings and the repression that someone continues to do. It's the thing that unlocks the feeling of being unloved by your father, let's say, and that's why you may get yourself into harmless relationships if it's sex that you're addicted to. It's the gambler throwing away his wages because he wants to remind himself that familiar feeling of feeling like a jerk, or so he can self-loathe. And these are all familiar patterns. They're all familiar feelings. And the secretion of chemicals that come up through these states of, hypertension, hypervigilance, this feeling of like, oh, I knew I wouldn't amount to much. That's a feeling that people unconsciously enjoy because it brings them into the old familiar past. If it is that reason you choose to take alcohol addictions on, because you're trying to run away from that, but you're also trying to relive that experience again. And that's addiction. To continue doing something as well that's detrimental to your life. So if you are watching this video and you want to give up or you want to cut down, I'm not going to lie to you. If you've been taking a lot of alcohol on board, it's in your system. So first and foremost, you have to make sure that you haven't become dependent on it in the sense of physically dependent. Then you have to have medical intervention to help you with the shakes, maybe with the possibility of kidneys and liver problems, If you feel like you're just a heavy drinker and you're going out weekends and binge drinking, I promise you, the first couple of weekends, you're going to feel like, a dog without a bone. You're going to feel like a headless chicken. You're not going to know your arse from your elbow, what's up, what's down, what's right, what's left, because over time you've developed, a body response. You've developed like a muscle memory. Out with the lads, out with the gang, gonna get hammered, gonna get pissed. If you just change that and you start, untangling yourself from that, and you start, okay, I'm just going to have a few beers, I'll limit myself. If you trust someone, look, I only want to do this weekend, just keep an eye on me. If this is now me saying, if you feel like you're just binge drinking and you want to stop, if you then can start during the week, start a little healthy program where you eat well, you drink plenty of water, you set yourself a little target of your 10,000 steps a day. This will make you pay more attention to, I'm not going to go out and ruin all that good work. It may not work the first time round, but it's more likely to make you stop and pause. If you feel like when you finish work that the natural thing is to go to your nearest pub, take a different route home. Reward yourself with something else. Like, it's the end of the week, let me go and, I don't know, go to a spa, go and get a massage. If you go and get a massage for about 50 quid, you can easily do that in a pub in a few hours. Start tuning into, and after about 28 days, and we all know this changes a different habit, you start becoming less reluctant to feed the little devil on the shoulder that's going, come on, we can soothe all our worries. If you need to talk to coaches like myself, we can build plans and structures and stuff like that. If you obviously have gambling addictions and that, then talk to someone who can help you with gambling addictions. My thing is trying to help people away from alcohol because it's where I'm well versed. Most importantly, if you do well for a few weeks and you've stopped drinking, let's say, or you've really calmed it down, and then you have a blowout, don't kick yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Just accept that you've already made huge steps and significant improvements to turn your life around. If you are, like I said, a partner and you've had to step away from your partner who's alcohol dependent, what you must not do is blame them, because you'll be feeling in pain, because you will, if you've listened to the video and gone through all the steps, you will be feeling like, what about me? What choice did I get? You've broke my heart. And that is something where you need to just, again, all of the above that I said when it comes to the weekends that you would have been with your partner, them days, you have to then start thinking of how to get better after a breakup. And that's another thing where we can build structures and build planning around that. So it's just me talking out on a video. So I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel. I'm going to do a lot of videos. I want to start this as a video one. I'm going to do a lot of videos about journeys of people I've spoken to with their journey into alcoholism, and also them getting away from it. There's a lot of examples I could use. I am a licensed coach, and I've got a good swath in psychology and counselling, just for the record, and I don't feel so in much pain when I say this, but I lost my mum through alcoholism, and my father, I'm sure, God rest his soul, I'm sure it had a huge impact on him not becoming well. My twin brother is seriously affected by alcohol, and like I said, my older brother and myself were. So there's a huge swath of experience on the subject. What I can tell you, to grow up in it, to be brought into this function through it, to have really close interpersonal relationships because of it and with it, and then to come out of it, I can safely say I've probably looked at alcoholism through all of the different angles that you can look at it through. So there has to be a reason. You know, you can say not in a martyrdom way, but there has to be a reason why we, whoever decides to become coaches and counsellors, have experienced what they've experienced. That being said, that doesn't mean anyone who hasn't been an alcoholic or hasn't witnessed alcoholism, that doesn't mean that they don't know about the subject that I've just brought up on this video. But I just know, if my figures are right, that 3 million people a year are affected by it, meaning through death, think about drinking and driving accidents, think about relationship breakups. But I think the deaths are nearly 2 million people a year globally are through alcohol. So it's a huge problem, and it's glorified, and I think any little videos like this that can help one person, I think have done their job. So please check out my YouTube channel, Shattered to the Light Experience. If you do like it, click like, also subscribe if you find this video helpful in any way, and check out my website, www.shatteredtothelightexperience.com. I'm going to wish you a good evening, and till next time, bye now.